What is up? We're talking quarterbacks today on the Locked On Bulldogs
Hmm.
podcast. Last year's quarterbacks, this year's quarterbacks. Where do we see the units stacking up against each other? And what do we predict for this year for the quarterback position here on the Locked On Bulldogs podcast?
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, y'all. Clint and Daniel here, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, Locked On Bulldogs, also part of Locked On Atlanta. Get over there, give them a follow. Hey, you should follow
We're
us.
just connected to a lot of people.
We got
We got networks on networks. We got shows on top of shows.
It is like any highway in Atlanta at 3:30 and beyond on any given day. It is just chock full of people.
You're saying that our show makes people want to kill themselves?
No, that's not.
Okay.
That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting there'd be a lot of connectors in there. Hey, everybody. Glad you're here. Today, we're talking quarterbacks. Follow us over on your streaming device of choice for podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, all that good stuff. YouTube channel, subscribe. Let us know you're there. Leave a comment, leave a rating, leave a review, 5-star rating and review, please. Today, we're talking quarterbacks. Last year, quarterback, number one, we're going to give a rating for them. This year, quarterback group, number two. And then what our projections for them are going to be statistically based upon last year and this year. And y'all, again, it's quarterbacks. I don't know if you heard me correctly.
Are people interested? Are they?
People are interested in the quarterback position. Now, let me state for the record one more time, because I've literally had to go through the YouTube comments and do this. If you leave a comment talking about Stetson Bennett and how he can't win, we are wasting the talent on the team. I will remove the comment because it makes no sense. Do you know why it makes no sense? Because we won the national championship with him as quarterback. Okay, there's my disclaimer. Now,
well, it's not just that though, Clint. We're going to get to some more. We're going to get to some more in-depth analysis of that performance last year. But last year, we know the season started with. Let's just jump in. The season started with JT Daniels at the helm. Clemson game, runs out there, starting quarterback, last 4 games of 2020. Everybody's feeling good. JT Daniels comes out, Clemson game. Looks okay, looks a little shaky. We find out he takes the shots of the ribs. Not everything is going great. And then shortly thereafter, we begin to see the Stetson Bennett train, and it begins to get rolling, and it just keeps rolling through the season. Step after step after step, people are saying, is JT Daniels coming back this week? Is JT Daniels coming back this week? Is JT Daniels coming back this week? But lo and behold, Stetson Bennett rides that thing out the rest of the way.
Yes, sir.
He loses in the SEC championship game in dramatic fashion, not dramatic, in very boisterous fashion. I mean, just the loudest loss you could ever imagine. And then beats Michigan, obviously, in the Orange Bowl, and beats Alabama in the national championship game. Leads Georgia to their first national championship in 40 years. But how did the quarterback position as a whole do at Georgia last year? And there's a lot of ways you can analyze quarterbacks, Clint.
Oh, okay? There's plenty of ways. You could do classic metrics, yards, completion percentage, touchdown interception ratio. So let's just start there. Stetson Bennett had 7 interceptions, 29 touchdowns, 2,862 yards, and a completion percentage. Now sit down, all y'all, for this one, because I don't think you understand this one. 64% completion percentage.
Okay, so talk to me right off the jump. It sounds like I'm already picking up some of these vibes. Of those 4 numbers, 7 interceptions, 29 tuds, 2,862 yards, 64% completion percentage. What do you like? What do you not like of those? We're going to call them pedestrian old school stats. What do you like? What do you not like?
Sure. Here, first thing that jumps off the bat, 64% completion percentage. Daniel, that ranks near the top of quarterbacks in college football, not just SEC. Guys, 64% completion percentage is a damn good quarterback. Let me just
Yes.
state this for the record. Okay, so I love that. Second thing I love about this, Daniel, 7 interceptions. Now,
Do you
how
know?
many games did we
Go.
play?
Sorry. Go
Daniel?
ahead. 7
How many-
interceptions. Yeah, we played 1, 2, carry the 4. We
Yep.
played 15 games.
Okay, so what you're telling me is that he's
Stetson
under.
did not play in all of them, to be fair, but
Sure.
we
Sure.
played in 15 games. Sure.
What you're telling me is that he's throwing half an interception, Daniel, a game is what you're telling
Per
me.
game. Yes,
game.
that is
Okay.
correct.
And y'all, in today's college football, in which balls being chucked over the yard, which offensively we are that's pretty dang good. What I don't like, you look at 29 TDs. That's not high up there. But the yards aren't statistically outrageous, Daniel. But the completion percentage and the interceptions are great.
I will say this, Clint, and I don't mean to come against you, but it's interesting because I look at all 4 of those lines right there, and I don't like any of it. 28, 62 yards. Now that's nothing. You want to start comparing that to people like Bryce Young. Bryce Young threw for twice that many yards last year. Not even in the same neighborhood. Touchdowns, not even comparable to some of these quarterbacks. 7 interceptions, Clint. Not great. Not great. When you compare it to his passing attempts, his interceptions per attempt was actually sky high. For comparison's sake, Bryce Young had nearly double the attempts, and he had 4 interceptions on. Oh no, he also had 7 interceptions on the year. I'm sorry. So he almost doubled the attempts, same number of interceptions. Not ideal. 64% completion percentage, Clint, puts him 9th in the SEC of quarterbacks.
But Daniel, 64%. That's still pretty dang good, Daniel. That's still pretty dang good.
But it's okay. I want to tell you where Stetson Bennett shines, and why we're going to both grade the quarterbacks from last year. Yes. And so, if you've been a Stetson Bennett apologist and you've been listening to this pod and you've been getting upset, let me talk to you about where Stetson Bennett shines. Some of the advanced stats, some of the things like yards per attempt, 9.9 yards per attempt. That leads the SEC of all Southeastern Conference quarterbacks. Clint, passer rating of on the season, passer rating of I just had it there. 176.69. 176.69. Now, if you're looking for some comparison numbers, Bryce Young passer rating 167.
Oh, interesting.
0.52. So nearly 10 points lower than Stetson Bennett's. So when you look at efficiency and you look at production per pass attempt, Stetson Bennett excels, Clint. He excels at doing more with less opportunity. Not less talent. That's not what I'm saying about him, even though we could have conversations about Stetson Bennett's talent level. He does more in the passing game with fewer reps, fewer attempts, fewer passes thrown than anyone else in all of college football, Clint, and the stats back that up over and over again.
All right, Daniel. So what are we giving last year's quarterback group? And JT Daniels and Stetson are really the quarterbacks we're grading. The rest of it we really can't grade. So what are we giving last year's?
Play. Yeah. Right. Carson Beck threw the world's worst interception in the UAB game that I've ever seen.
Okay.
That I've ever seen.
Everybody, please.
That's one whole point down. That's one whole point on the quarterbacks for the team.
I'm going to give it to you. What do you give them as a rating?
I'm giving the quarterbacks from last year an 86, Clint. I thought they were fine.
I was just going to say 86 is good, y'all. I know you want them to be 99, but that's not how it works. I'm going to give them an 85, Daniel. I thought, and again, 85 is, guys, that's fine.
It's fine. It was good enough. It was
to win
good
a national championship. I'm
going
to
give
them 85.
About this coming year, though, Clint. Let's move forward.
Yes, we do need to move forward. We do need to talk about that.
Let's talk about Built Bar first.
Please do.
Built Bar is the tastiest protein bar on planet Earth, and I just don't even want to talk about any of the other flavors, Clint. They have a lot of flavors. There's
Lots.
many delicious flavors. You should try any and all of them that you want. But there's this, they started making about a year and a half ago, Clint. They started making this Built Bar Puffs, okay? And it's basically just like, have you ever gone camping and you toast a little marshmallow?
Sure.
You just get a little, and you get that goo, that little marshmallow goo
Come on,
in
say
there.
more.
It's basically just this marshmallowy goo coated in chocolate, but it tastes like any number of things that you could. There's like a mint chocolate chip, I think, one of these puffs. There's a churro flavor of one of these puffs. And the newest puff flavor is birthday cake. It's like a little funfetti cake. It's covered in chocolate. It is chewy. It's marshmallowy, and it is fantastic. Go to BuiltBar.com right now. Enter the promo code LOCKEDON15. You get 15% off your order. That's 15% off an entire gross of these birthday cake puffs or any of the other flavors that you want. That's BuiltBar.com. Promo code LOCKEDON15 for 15% off your order.
All right, Daniel, this next year's group, look, we have a lot of returning players, namely Stetson Bennett, who said, I want to run it back myself, unfinished business on my own account. Let's take this back one more time. So Stetson is coming back. We have JT Daniels gone. He has moved on. And you know what, at this point, I mean, is he at Syracuse? Is he at Oklahoma Junior? Is he at
They're all the same.
Okay, good.
They're
Just
all
making
the
sure
same.
we all understand.
He's not at Georgia. I don't know.
He's not at Georgia. That's exactly right. That's all you need to concern yourself with, people. But we do have Brock Vandegrift. We do have Carson Beck. We do have Stetson Bennett. We do have Gunnar Stockton. So this next year's crew, we gave him an 86, 85. Yeah. Last year, this year's crew, what are you going to say? What are you looking for? And what did you see at G-Day? What did you see during practices? What reports have come out? What interviews with Kirby have come out to give you any indication? And I'll start. Kirby Smart has nothing but the appropriate praise to give to Stetson Bennett. Some of the things we talked about, you mentioned the interceptions. I said 7 wasn't that bad. And while over a long haul, it's not awful, comparatively to others, elite quarterbacks, it's not great. I think he's doing the fine things with the ball right now that Kirby expects to win games. Now, that's important for y'all to understand what I'm trying to say. Right now, Kirby is saying we can go into games and win with Stetson Bennett at quarterback. Maybe, again, not the way that you want. And he's running the defense, not defense from last year, defense from this year. And what he is assessing is that the defense this year, plus Stetson's play so far, he thinks can win games. Now, that's all I need to know so far, y'all. Last year, if Stetson was behind, I bet Kirby's praise would have been a little gentler, as it was. Because why? We had the best defense ever in history of college football. So he knew he could be behind. This year, we don't have the best defense in all of college football history. And Stetson is right in line with where that needs to be to win games. So I'm hopeful, Daniel. Do you hear anything or see anything?
I do. Yeah. So listen, there's two things I think that if I'm going to give a number for this year's quarterbacks, which we'll get to at the end of this segment. And then in the third segment, we'll talk about a little bit more in depth of what we expect this year's quarterback play to look like. So I kind of have two things that I think are important. And I'm going to save one of them for the third segment, one of them for when we're talking about what we expect the quarterback play to look like. Okay. But the first question that I have to ask myself when I'm giving this group a number is not about Stetson Bennett at all. It's actually the question, can Carson Beck compete with Stetson Bennett and push him and maybe overtake him, maybe not. But can Carson Beck be a very strong backup quarterback on this team? Because who knows the health situation of JT Daniels last year? Who knows when he was available, when he wasn't? Who knows when he was sore, when he wasn't? Let me spoil it for you. You don't know.
No one knows.
I don't know. Some people know, but they're not on this podcast right now. Nope. Nor are they listening to this podcast. You had JT Daniels, though, at least in your mind, Clint. you had him waiting in the wings. We've seen what the kid can do. He's no slouch at the quarterback position.
He's not.
He's quite good. So wherever he is playing football for next year,
I
we
think
joke.
I think he's at Pitt.
Yeah, I thought it was in West Virginia.
I
Are
was
they the
joking.
same?
I was-
They
I
might
was-
be the same. They might
He's
be
at
the
West
same.
Virginia.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to have a reoccurring joke there, but never
Yes,
mind.
that's going to be the. So wherever he goes, he's gonna do well. We need Carson Beck
Yes.
to be more than capable this year, because that's going to elevate the overall strength of the unit. So that's one of the bigger questions. And Carson Beck, I don't have to tell you this, Clint. Did you watch the G Day? Did you watch the G Day game? Carson Beck played out of his freaking mind at G Day this year. Brock Vandegrift, Vandelay Industries, he was not exporting much except for disappointment in my eyes. But between Stetson Bennett and Carson Beck, you feel like you have two very competent options there. They're different in their level of experience. They're different in their what maybe appears to be their mentality at a quarterback. They're different in their skill sets. But can they complement each other? Can they be a 1A and a 1B? Because that's where I think Georgia has the best chance to ascend. But when you're talking about just a straight up 1-for-1, I'm trading JT Daniels for Carson Beck, and everything about the quarterback position basically stays the same other than that. It's going to be tough for me to go up from where I was last year. I don't know. Can you go up?
I can't. I kind of want to go down, Daniel, because again, I don't know. Carson Beck looked great at G-Day. Y'all, I'm not doubting that. I am not doubting he looked great at G-Day.
Why are you doubting that? That's what the people want to know, Clint.
I know.
Why are you doubting it so much?
Because I saw Carson Beck in a real life SEC football game, Daniel.
I thought we weren't bringing that up. I brought that up earlier, and you
look, y'all, I have to go. I'm sticking with the 85. I want to go 84, but I'm sticking with 85.
I'm going to go 88, Clint. I'm going to go up. And I'll tell you this, it doesn't have anything to do with Carson Beck. I think number one, actually, it has one thing to do with Carson Beck. Number one, I'm trading injury-riddled JT Daniels for unproven, but you like that upside with Carson Beck. You don't know what Carson Beck's all about, Clint. He may put it together. He may just have decided this is the year he's going to come out, he's going to put it together. So you got a little bit of upside there. But I'm basing this off of what I believe is one more year in the system for Stetson Bennett. I'm basing it off of Todd Monken, Stetson Bennett relationship. I'm basing it off of Stetson Bennett level of confidence coming into the year. I'm basing it off of continuity with the offensive line, continuity with the receivers. Think of all the receivers back.
Now,
Stetson Bennett.
Okay, now all of a sudden you start adding that. I'm
not grading the offense. I'm not grading the offense, but I am saying receivers coming back makes a quarterback rating go up, Clint.
Okay, I hear you.
I'm going to go 88 on this year's rating. Now we're going to talk about why I think we're going to improve and what we kind of expect from a statistical standpoint or a performance standpoint from the offense. But first, Clint's going to tell you about Rock Auto.
Rock Auto is the full mustache of auto dealer parts
of rocks.
And of rocks. That also that, Daniel. Of auto parts. Right at rockauto.com, you get every single car part your car ever needs. Domestic or foreign, exterior, interior, transmission, engine, performance, appearance. It doesn't matter. Rock Auto has every single thing you need to get the car part at a reliably low price straight to your door. Don't bother going into Walmart. Don't bother going into auto parts stores where guy named Trevor with
Trevor,
2 V's.
Are you still there?
Reach out, brother. Reach out to us, Trevor.
Trevor, reach out.
Please, we want to know. RockAuto.com. Every single car part your car will ever need. However, right now, get the part that you need straight to your door and let them know that we sent you putting in the promo or into the How Did You Hear About Us section, Locked On. It gets you the part that you need. It helps us out and helps them out. That's rockauto.com. Every car part your car will ever need. Okay, Daniel, earlier I gave the statistical analysis for what Stetson Bennett did last year. Just a refresher course for those of you who don't have that perfect memory in your head. 7 interceptions, 29 touchdowns, 2,862 yards, and 64% completion percentage. Daniel, I first ask you this. Do you think Stetson Bennett has more or less statistics that I just listed this coming year?
He will have, I hope he has less interceptions, but he will have more. He will have more in all of those other categories. 100%. And I will tell you, I'm going to give you, I know you've got stuff that you want to share. I have bad news. I have sort of a bad news and good news package here. So something that concerns me about the quarterback play this season and something that gives you reason to be optimistic. So I'm going to end on the high note, but I'm going to start here with a concern.
Okay.
Stetson Bennett played his worst last year when he was asked to do the most.
Oh, yes, sir.
And it's not close. Somebody quick, tell me what his worst game of the season was.
Oh, I know. It was the very loud performance, not in a good way, in the SEC championship, Daniel.
That's correct. Now, he had 48 pass attempts in that game, Clint. And do you know what his second highest pass attempts total of the season was?
No, give it to me.
2 games tied with 30 passing attempts. 30, Clint. No, it's 3/5 of the attempts that he had in that one game, the SEC championship game. No, all the other games of the season, he had less than 30 passing attempts. In the Arkansas game, he had 11 passing attempts. By the way, his lowest QBR of the season was the Arkansas game, even though he was 7 for 11 in the game. So you can talk about one of his most efficient performances of the year. Yes, but his QBR in the tank because he only had 11 attempts. He only had like 90-something yards, and so that's going to ding you. So if you think, oh, Stetson Bennett, advanced stats, QBR, it doesn't matter because all that does is take into account that, like, you know, he's just dinking it around and like there's no, that's not quarterback rating. Passer rating factors in how many throws and gives you points for how many throws you make. And so Stetson is actually at a disadvantage because of the offense that Todd Monken and Kirby Smart were asking him to run compared to a Bryce Young, at a disadvantage in terms of passer rating, and yet he still finishes ahead of Bryce Young. But that's what I'm going to get to at the end. My fear is, Clint, you mentioned it with the defense earlier. The defense is not going to be the same team this year, okay? It's okay for me to say that. It's okay for you to hear that. It's not going to be the same defense that it was last year, okay? Georgia is going to have to win some games with the offense. And that hasn't always been a great situation for young Stetson Bennett. And so while I believe he's going to throw for more yards because he's going to have more attempts, I think his completion percentage is even going to go up from where it was, 64. I think he's going to eclipse that because he's smart and he makes good decisions and the continuity with the receivers is high. I think he's going to throw for more touchdowns. But I don't know if it's going to be better for Georgia next year when we're leaning more on the passing game. I still think with Stetson Bennett, you want to keep the attempts low because when you keep the attempts low, you minimize the mistake. And the big mistake is the thing that kills you with Stetson.
Nope, I think that's absolutely right. Hey, come back tomorrow where Daniel and I be talking about, well, we got more recruit news this week, Daniel. Just recruits happen every single flipping week. We have more recruit news. And also, Daniel are going to tackle the edge position at UGA. We're going to talk about last year, this coming year. Give a rating out for those guys. This has been Locked On Bulldogs here on Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We will see you guys then.
See ya.